Hello guys. Welcome to my channel, Full on Drama. Today I have brought you 5 Am I the Asshole Reddit stories. Story 1. Am I the asshole for not getting off my horse and walking away when my mom tried to talk to me? My mom and I 21 male have a less than stellar relationship. My parents are divorced, and I lived with her until I was 16. A couple of months before I turned 16, she started dating a guy, and he didn't like me at all. I always had to be elsewhere when he came around. Shortly after my 16th birthday, my mom told me I was going to spend the weekend on my uncle's farm, so I went and it was pretty fun. She didn't show up the day she was supposed to pick me up, so I called her, and she basically told me I was staying with my uncle permanently. When I told him, he was pissed, rightfully so. We both tried calling her, but she didn't answer. We did everything we could think of to get a hold of her, but we couldn't. The last time I saw her was a week later when she dropped off the rest of my clothes. My uncle is technically not my uncle. He's just a family friend, but he's the closest thing I've had as a parent for the last 5 years. My dad and I aren't close. Apparently, his house was too full for me when my mom left. Honestly, a big part of me is glad this happened. Shortly after I moved in, I got my own horse. She's a Clydesdale named Mary 6 female, and she's my best friend. I've been working on the ranch with my uncle since I graduated, and I'm really liking it. I feel at peace. Anyway, my mom showed up to the ranch today. I had just got on Mary. It was funny, she didn't recognize me at first. She came up to me and asked if I'd dismount. I didn't. She told me this story about how she moved across the country with her ex because she thought she'd be happy with him. Then she told me that things didn't work out, so she found a place. Then she basically demanded I come home. I sarcastically said sure, and I got Mary to start walking. That set her off. She started after me and started ranting about how I needed to live a normal life and that I had to find a girlfriend and not ride horses all day. I stopped and said, as far as you're concerned, this horse is my girlfriend. And that set her off even more. My uncle caught wind of what was happening and he came over and asked her to leave. She shouted, "I'm not leaving without my son." My uncle told her to leave again and threatened to call the cops if she didn't, and that got her to leave. The reason I'm making this post is because my dad just sent me this long text about how my mom misses me and how she only wants what's best for me. He then went on to say that I should give her a chance instead of threatening to call the cops. He ended the text by saying I was an asshole for not even getting off my horse to speak with her. Am I the asshole for walking away when my mom tried to talk to me? Editing to add, my horse isn't my girlfriend. I just said that to piss my mom off. I have a human girlfriend. Story 2. Am I the asshole for reminding my parents that my stepsister ruined our family's future? I grew up in a big blended family where we all consider ourselves siblings, and I consider my stepmom my mom. All of us kids are close except for one, my stepsister Liana, fake name. My parents think it's just because she didn't grow up with the rest of us, but that it's fine. And it's not. Yes, by the time she came to live with us, she was almost 18. But it's not because of that. It's because she cost the rest of us our futures. See, when she came to live with us, she had been independently homeschooled. She was said to be very smart, but testing revealed that she only had about a 9th grade education and no transferable credits. Neither our school or the public school were willing to place her above 9th grade. Since she was only about a month from turning 18, this would mean she would be in high school until her 21st birthday and would more likely than not have to drop out anyway. The only other option was to have her get a G.Ed. They were devastated, especially because she had an offer from family friends to get her into and through college if she did a specific program that she did have advanced education in. If she didn't graduate that year, they would question how bad it was and likely rescind the offer. The only other option was for her to get a GED, which would force the family friend to rescind the offer even if they still wanted to help because she could never get accepted with a G.Ed. My parents worried over this until someone they knew who was the admin of another private school offered to help out. They offered to enroll her as a senior and she could spend the year catching up, provided they saw it in their hearts to give a donation. Of course, $100,000 later, she graduated from an accredited high school and moved on to college. My family is just normal middle class, so paying that meant that the rest of us had to take out massive student loans, and my youngest siblings even had to switch to public school. My older brother got some help before this, but there wasn't a dime for the rest of us. My parents justify it by saying that they had to do it because it was their job to give all of their kids as close to an equal start to their lives as possible, and this was the only option to do that for her. My mom asked why we all have strained relationships with Liana, and it finally came out that truthfully, we resent her for the huge financial load on us and the entire family that she caused. It's been 10 years and she's never even tried to apologize or make amends, and it's grating. Now, my father says that mom has fallen into a depression because nobody loves Liana but her and that we weren't a family despite everything she's ever done. We are a family, just not with Liana. Are we really in the wrong? Story 3. Am I the asshole for ruining at a family dinner because of my golden child sister? I, female 17, have a younger sister, Emily, female 16. Even though they don't say it explicitly, Emily is clearly my parents' favorite child. I can understand why they're proud of Emily. She is a straight A student, has the lead roles in student theater, swims competitively, is popular at school, and very, very good looking. I, on the other hand, am probably more plain. I work hard at school, but am not as outgoing or intelligent as Emily, and don't excel at any extracurriculars like she does. My parents always celebrate Emily. We have certificates of her work on the fridge, always have outings and meals to commemorate her achievements, and attend all her swim events and plays. I know my parents love me, but I don't get close to the level of attention, even when I work hard. The other night, we went out with my parents, uncle, aunt, and cousins. We'd just been to one of Emily's shows, and she recently got accepted onto a summer scheme she was wanting to complete. The whole meal revolved around discussing Emily and how proud everyone was of her accomplishments. I don't think I was mentioned once. I'm usually more reserved or just bite my tongue, but midway through the meal I shouted out, maybe if you paid more attention to me and not just your golden child, you'd have more things to celebrate. Everyone just went silent and my mom said we'd discuss this when we got home and not to ruin the meal. Emily looked shocked and close to crying. To say the rest of the meal was awkward would be putting it lightly. When we got home, my parents shouted at me for embarrassing them and said that Emily deserves to be celebrated and that if I did something that merited celebration, I would receive the same treatment. I said how unfair this was and nothing I do gets recognized regardless. Emily joined in and said she works hard and deserves to be recognized for that, and as the older sister, I should grow up and actually work for once if I want her success. I haven't spoken to Emily since then and my parents are still annoyed at me for ruining the meal. So, am I the asshole? Story 4. Am I the asshole for not hanging out with my stepson? My husband and I were married for 1 year now and he has a son, Jason, 19, in college. His son lives in dorms mostly and sometimes comes to our house and sometimes goes to his mom's house. We have a pretty fine relationship, not close, but not on bad terms either, like we're fine IMO for our situation. Now, my husband asked me to go out for a hangout with his son and I was kinda weirded out. Like, okay, here's the thing, I know marrying my husband meant his family is now mine and all, but I still see no reason for us to hang out alone. I asked my husband why he wants that and he told me so that Jason and I build a close bond like mother and son. First of all, Jason doesn't even hang out with his own bio mother as much as I know he's not a mama's boy. And let's be realistic, I cannot be a mother a boy who met me when he was 17 and didn't even live with me plus has a living mother. So I told my husband I really don't like the idea and that me and Jason could get close through family dinners and events instead of setting up something for just the two of us specifically. Like, I am sure Jason would prefer a hangout with his friends or his bio mother or father before me. But my husband is saying that I am not trying to even involve myself in the family and is now mad. Story 5. Am I the asshole for telling my dad I don't consider him to be my father anymore? For context, I, 20, female, am in my last year of my undergrad degree, and I still live with my parents. The summer after first year, I worked full-time in order to save up money for rent so I could move out. I made roughly $8,000 the first summer. The bi-weekly payments were being directly deposited into one of my accounts, which is a separate account from where I do my spending from. My dad insists on having access to my bank account at all times. I couldn't refuse because I live in his house and at the time, I didn't have the funds to just get up and leave as much as I would have loved to. So, he would always check my accounts, block my card so I would have to ask his permission to buy things, yell at me when he saw me buying food on campus, etc. Last year, I asked to check the account where my job money was being deposited to see how much money I had saved up. I would always collect my pay stubs so I knew exactly how much I should have earned at that point. I was shocked when I saw that there was around $6.5 thousand missing. Then I saw my dad had been using the money from my job for his payments, hydro bills, new computers, etc. I blew up on him. He knew that I was saving the money up for rent and he didn't even ask me before spending almost all of it. He even denied it at first, said that the money is safe elsewhere, but of course, I knew this was BS, so I asked him to show me where every missing dollar was. He obviously couldn't. My home is extremely toxic and rapidly deteriorates my mental health. The one thing I could count on was me saving up money to move out on my own. And he took that away from me. We got into a huge argument about it again recently. He told me to shut up about it at first, but then said he made a mistake in a very condescending tone. I told him I would never forgive him for what he did, and I didn't consider him to be a father to me anymore. My mom says I was being too harsh. I told her my comment was built up for over a decade of my resentment for him, and that his controlling nature is unbearable. It wasn't just because of him taking my money, but the situation was the tipping point for me. She still thinks I was out of line since he's still your dad. So am I the asshole here? Thanks for watching. Comment down your verdict. Subscribe for more such content every other day.